breaths. Desperate and jumped into the bed. I was not ready for this twist. I still remember that Friday evening like it was yesterday. We had been together for about 6 months, and honestly, everything was going pretty well. Our relationship was comfortable, you know? We had our routines down perfectly. Every weekend we'd plan our dates carefully. Dinner at 7, maybe catch a movie afterward, home by 11. It was predictable, but I liked it that way. I'm the kind of person who enjoys knowing what to expect. Particular evening. I was getting ready for our usual dinner date. I had made reservations at this Italian place we both loved. My jacket was ready, wallet in pocket, keys on the table. Everything was set. When the doorbell rang, I opened it with a smile, expecting to see her in her usual casual, elegant style. But the moment I saw her standing there, I knew something was different. She had this look in her eyes that I had never seen before. It wasn't mischief, exactly. More like excitement mixed with nervousness. Breath. She was wearing this bright, colorful dress that seemed so unlike her usual wardrobe. Her hair was down and loose instead of the neat ponytail she usually wore. She looked beautiful, but also somehow unfamiliar. I reached for my jacket, ready to head out. Should we get going? Our reservation is in 20 minutes, I said, checking my watch. But she didn't move toward the door. Instead, she stepped inside. And before I could ask what was going on, she gently pushed me back from the doorway. Breath. Then she said those words that completely threw me off balance. She leaned in close, her voice soft but firm, and whispered, "No rules tonight." And then, I kid you not, she actually jumped onto my bed like a little kid, sitting there cross-legged with the biggest grin on her face. I just stood there, frozen. My brain was trying to process what was happening. What did she mean by no rules? Was this some kind of game? A test? Was she upset about something and this was her way of acting out? 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind, and none of them made sense. What's going on? I finally managed to ask. My voice probably sounded more confused than I intended, but I genuinely had no idea what was happening. We had plans! We always had plans. This wasn't part of the plan. She patted the space next to her on the bed, inviting me to sit down. I hesitated for a moment, then slowly walked over and sat on the edge, keeping a bit of distance because I was honestly confused and maybe a little worried. "I know this seems weird," she started, and I nodded because yes, it definitely seemed weird. "But just trust me on this, okay?" "Bae, tonight is going to be different from our usual nights." I looked at her carefully, trying to read her expression. She didn't seem upset or angry. She actually seemed excited, almost giddy. But there was also something else there, something deeper that I couldn't quite identify. It looked like hope, maybe even fear. "Did something happen?" I asked, concerned now. "Are you okay? Did I do something wrong?" She shook her head quickly. No, nothing like that. You've been amazing. It's just that I've been thinking a lot lately about myself, about us, about how I live my life." She paused, taking a deep breath, and I realized something important. I waited, my heart beating a little faster. Whenever someone says they've realized something important in a relationship, it usually means something big is coming. I braced myself for whatever was next. "I've been living my whole life following rules," she continued, her voice getting quieter. "Rules about how I should act, what I should wear, when I should do things, how I should feel. And I'm tired of it. Tonight, I just want to be free. Just for one night. I was still confused, but I was starting to understand that this wasn't about me or our relationship. This was about something she was going through personally. I relaxed a little, though I still had no idea what no rules tonight actually meant. Okay, I said slowly. So what does that mean exactly? What do you want to do? She smiled, and this time it reached her eyes in a way that made her look younger, lighter somehow. I don't know yet. That's the whole point. Breath. I don't want to plan it. I just want to do whatever feels right in the moment. For someone like me who plans everything, this was terrifying. But looking at her face, seeing how important this was to her, I knew I had to go along with it. Whatever this night was going to be, I could tell it mattered to her in a way I didn't fully understand yet. She reached into her bag and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. My stomach dropped a little. Was this a letter? Was she breaking up with me in some elaborate way? My mind went to dark places quickly, but when she unfolded it, I could see it was covered in her handwriting, with things crossed out and rewritten. I've been seeing a therapist, she said quietly, and I felt my eyebrows rise in surprise. She had never mentioned this before. For about 3 months now. I didn't tell you because I wasn't ready to talk about it. I nodded, trying to show her I wasn't upset that she had kept this from me. Everyone has the right to their privacy, especially when it comes to therapy. My therapist helped me realize something, she continued, looking down at the paper in her hands. I've been living under rules that aren't even mine. Bet. They're rules from my past, from people who aren't even in my life anymore. And these rules have been controlling everything I do. Bah. She took another deep breath, and I could see this was hard for her to talk about. I moved a little closer, wanting her to know I was there and listening. I dated someone before you, she said, and I knew this already. She had mentioned a previous relationship that hadn't ended well, but she'd never gone into details. He was very controlling. He had rules for everything. What I could wear, who I could talk to, what time I had to be home, what I could eat, how I should spend my free time. Everything. Breath. I felt anger rising in my chest. I had no idea it had been that bad. After we broke up, I thought I was free, she continued. But my therapist made me realize that I kept following those same rules even though he was gone. Psst. I still dressed a certain way because he said my clothes were too attention-seeking. I still planned everything carefully because he said spontaneous people are irresponsible. I still don't laugh too loud because he said it was embarrassing. My heart broke a little hearing this. I thought about all the times we'd been together, and now I was seeing them in a new light. The way she always checked with me before ordering food. The way she apologized if she laughed too loudly. The way she never suggested anything spontaneous. So my therapist gave me an assignment, she said, finally looking up at me. She told me to pick one night and break all those old rules. Do things I've been too scared to do. Be the person I used to be before I learned to be so careful about everything. I started to understand what no rules tonight really meant. This wasn't about being wild or reckless. This was about healing. This was about her taking back parts of herself that she had lost. And you chose tonight? I asked softly. She nodded. I chose tonight, and I chose to do it with you. Her eyes got a little watery. Because you make me feel safe. You've never tried to control me or tell me how to be. You let me just be myself, even though I haven't really known who that is." I didn't know what to say. I felt honored that she trusted me enough to be part of this journey, but I also felt the weight of responsibility. What if I said or did the wrong thing? What if I accidentally made her feel judged? "What do you need from me?" I asked, because that seemed like the most important question. She smiled, wiping her eyes quickly. "Just be here! Just don't judge me if I do something silly or weird. And maybe join me?" "You don't have to, but it would be nice not to feel alone in this."
Of course, I said without hesitation.
"Whatever you need, I'm here." She looked relieved, like she had been worried I might laugh at her or think she was being ridiculous, but I didn't think that at all. I thought she was brave. It takes courage to face your fears and to work on healing yourself. "So where do we start?" I asked, trying to sound encouraging. She looked at the paper in her hands, which I now realized was a list. "Well, rule number one that I need to break is about food. I haven't eaten ice cream for dinner in years because I was told it was childish and unhealthy. So, I want to start there. Can we order ice cream? Just ice cream. Nothing else?" I couldn't help but smile. Of all the things I had imagined when she said no rules tonight, ordering ice cream for dinner was probably the most innocent. "Absolutely," I said, pulling out my phone. "What flavor do you want?" Her whole face lit up. "Chocolate chip cookie dough. Extra chocolate syrup. Whipped cream." 20 minutes later, we were sitting on my bed with 2 large bowls of ice cream between us. She had ordered the most elaborate sundae I had ever seen, with every topping available. Watching her take that first bite was something special. Her eyes closed, and she made this small sound of pure happiness. "This is amazing," she said, grinning with whipped cream on her nose. "I forgot how good this tastes." I laughed and pointed at her nose. She wiped it off, laughing too, and that laugh sounded different from her usual careful chuckle. This one was loud and free and completely uninhibited. After we finished the ice cream, she pulled out her list again. "Next thing," she announced. "I want to build a blanket fort. I used to love doing this as a kid, but I was told it was messy and childish. Bed. I want to do it now." So that's what we did. We pulled all the blankets and pillows from my closet, used chairs and the couch to create a structure, and built the most ridiculous blanket fort you've ever seen. It kept collapsing, and we kept laughing and rebuilding it. At one point, the whole thing fell on our heads, and she laughed so hard she snorted, then immediately covered her mouth, looking embarrassed. "Sorry," she mumbled. "For what?" I asked, genuinely confused. "For snorting. It's not ladylike." I looked at her seriously. "Says who?" "That guy?" She nodded slowly. "Well, he's not here, and his opinion doesn't matter. Laugh however you want to laugh." She smiled, and I could see something shift in her eyes, a little bit of weight lifting off her shoulders. Once we finally got the fort stable, we crawled inside with my laptop. "What do you want to watch?" I asked. "Bye." She bit her lip, looking nervous again. "This is going to sound so silly." "Nothing is silly tonight," I reminded her. "I want to watch cartoons. Old kids' movies. The kind with happy endings and songs and magic." I haven't watched anything like that in years because I was told I needed to grow up and watch mature content. So we watched animated movies. We started with one about a princess and a dragon, then moved on to one about talking animals. She sang along to every song, not caring if she hit the right notes or not. She cried during the sad parts without trying to hide it. She cheered during the happy endings. Around midnight, we took a break from movies to raid my kitchen. She made the strangest snack combinations. Things she said she used to eat as a teenager, but had stopped because they were considered weird. Peanut butter and pickle sandwiches. Psh, chips dipped in chocolate. Cereal mixed with popcorn. This is disgusting, I said, trying one of her combinations. I know, she laughed. But it's my disgusting snack, and I missed it. As we sat there eating terrible food combinations, she started telling me stories, real stories about who she used to be before that relationship changed her. She used to be spontaneous, the friend who would suggest road trips at 2 a.m. She used to dance badly at parties and not care who was watching. She used to wear bright colors and mismatched patterns because she thought it was fun. What happened to that person? I asked. She was quiet for a moment. She got told she was too much. Too loud, too spontaneous, too colorful, too everything. So she learned to be less. She learned to be quiet and careful and predictable. She learned to disappear a little bit. I felt sad hearing this, but also angry at someone I'd never met for making her feel like she needed to shrink herself. Do you miss her? I asked. Every single day, she whispered. That's why I'm doing this. My therapist says I can find her again if I'm brave enough to look. We went back to the blanket fort and put on another movie, but this time we just talked over it. In fact, she told me about her dreams. Real ones that she had given up on because they seemed too impractical. She wanted to learn pottery. She wanted to travel to places without planning every detail. She wanted to take a cooking class just for fun, not to be good at it. Why did you stop wanting these things? I asked. I didn't stop wanting them, she corrected. I just stopped letting myself want them. There's a difference. As the night went on, she worked through more items on her list. We danced in my living room to silly songs, and she didn't care that her moves were awkward. We played children's card games, and she celebrated when she won like she'd won a championship. We looked up at the ceiling and talked about what shapes we saw in the texture, something she said she used to do as a kid. Around 3 a.m, we were lying in the blanket fort, both of us tired but not wanting the night to end. She was quieter now, more thoughtful. Thank you for tonight, she said softly. Despair. You don't have to thank me, I replied. This has been one of the best nights I've ever had.
Really? She sounded surprised.
Really? I gotta see parts of you I never knew existed. And those parts are wonderful. She was quiet for a long moment, and when she spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. I've been so scared that if I showed you this side of me, you'd think I was childish or weird or too much. You could never be too much, I said firmly. We must have fallen asleep at some point because I woke up to her phone buzzing loudly. The sun was just starting to come up, painting my room in soft orange light. She groaned and reached for her phone, squinting at the screen. I watched her face change from sleepy confusion to wide-awake worry in seconds. She sat up quickly, nearly hitting her head on the blanket fort roof, and answered the call. Mom? What's wrong? Her voice was tight with concern. I couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but I watched her face go pale. Her hand started shaking. She kept saying, "Okay," and "I understand," and "I'll be there as soon as I can." When she hung up, she just sat there for a moment, staring at her phone like she couldn't quite process what she'd just heard. "What happened?" I asked gently, sitting up next to her. "It's my sister," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Rasp. "She was in a car accident last night. She's okay. She's alive. But she's in the hospital. My mom needs me to come home right away. I need to book a flight." The magical bubble of our perfect night popped instantly.
Reality came crashing back in, harsh and demanding. She scrambled out of the blanket fort, looking around frantically for her bag.
Okay, let's think clearly, I said, trying to stay calm for both of us. "Where do you need to go? What can I do to help?" She was already on her phone, searching for flights. Home. "I need to get home. There's a flight in 3 hours. I need to pack. I need to get to the airport. I need to call work and tell them I won't be in. I need to—" I interrupted gently, putting my hand on her shoulder. "Breathe. We'll figure this out. Let me drive you to your place so you can pack. Then I'll take you to the airport." She nodded, but I could see she was only half listening. Her phone kept buzzing with more messages from her family. Her mom was sending updates. Her brother was asking when she'd arrive. Her dad wanted to know if she needed money for the ticket. "We got to her apartment quickly!" I'd never seen her move so fast. But she was throwing clothes into a suitcase, not bothering to fold anything. She grabbed her toothbrush, her charger, random items from her bathroom. The whole time, her phone kept ringing. That's when I saw it happening. The transformation I had hoped I'd never see. The free, happy person from last night was disappearing right in front of me. Her shoulders hunched forward. Her movements became tight and controlled, even in their hurry. Her face took on this expression of resigned duty. Between packing, she was taking call after call. Her mom needed her to coordinate with the hospital. Her brother needed her to handle insurance paperwork, because she was always the organized one. Her dad needed her to book a hotel room for family members coming in from out of town. Everyone needed something from her, and she was saying yes to everything.
"I can help with some of this," I offered.
"Bet. You don't have to do it all while you're packing." She shook her head. "It's fine. This is what I do. I'm the one who handles things when there's a crisis." But it wasn't fine. I could see the weight settling back onto her shoulders, heavier than before. All those rules she'd broken last night were snapping back into place like rubber bands. In the car on the way to the airport, she was quiet, except for when she was on the phone dealing with family logistics. When she finally hung up for a moment, she turned to me with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said. "Oh, for what? For ruining last night? For dragging you into my weird therapy assignment and then having it end like this? For being selfish enough to take one night for myself when my family needed me? I nearly pulled the car over. Stop. Please stop. You didn't ruin anything. And you weren't being selfish. You can't predict when emergencies happen." But she was shaking her head, and I could see she didn't believe me. I should have been available. I turned my phone on silent. What if my sister had been trying to reach me? What if I could have done something? "You were asleep," I pointed out. like any normal person at 3 in the morning.
You couldn't have done anything differently.
She wiped her eyes roughly.
You don't understand.
In my family, I'm the responsible one. I'm the one who's always available, always ready to help, always putting everyone else first. And the one night I decide to put myself first, this happens. I wanted to argue with her, to tell her that correlation doesn't equal causation, that the universe wasn't punishing her for having one night of fun. But I could see she was in no state to hear it. We got to the airport with an hour to spare. I helped her get her suitcase from the trunk, and we stood there on the curb, neither of us quite knowing what to say. I don't know when I'll be back, she said quietly. It might be weeks. My sister is going to need a lot of help recovering, and my family is going to need me to coordinate everything. That's okay, I said. Take whatever time you need. I'll be here when you get back. She looked at me with this expression that broke my heart. It was like she didn't quite believe I'd still be there. Like she expected me to disappear while she was gone. Last night was the best night I've had in years, she said suddenly. Breath. I need you to know that. Whatever happens, I want you to know that you gave me something precious. You gave me a few hours of feeling like myself again. Before I could respond, her phone rang again. Bay. Her mom. She had to go. I watched her walk into the airport, her shoulders carrying the weight of her entire family's needs, and I felt helpless. All the progress from last night seemed to have evaporated in a few hours. The first few days after she left were quiet. She texted me when she landed to let me know she got there safely, but after that, communication became sporadic.
I understood. She was dealing with a family crisis.
But I couldn't stop thinking about what she'd said in the car, about being selfish. About ruining things. About always being the one everyone relied on. That's when I got an idea. It started small, just a thought really. But the more I considered it, the more it made sense. If she couldn't break the rules while dealing with her family crisis, maybe I could do it for her. Not in a big way, but in small reminders that the person she found that night still existed. So I started my own version of no rules. The next morning I went to a breakfast place and ordered dessert for breakfast. Just a huge piece of chocolate cake with my coffee. I took a picture of it and sent it to her with a simple message, "Breaking breakfast rules in your honor." She replied a few hours later with a smiley face and, "That looks amazing. I'm jealous." Bah. It wasn't much, but it was something. So I kept going. The next day, I took a spontaneous day trip to a beach an hour away. I didn't plan it, didn't pack properly, just got in my car and went. I sent her pictures of my mismatched socks with my sandals at the beach. Her response, "Your socks don't match." Scandalous. "Learning from the best," I wrote back. Boorish. Over the following 2 weeks, I sent her daily evidence of small rule breaking. I wore my shirt inside out to the grocery store. I watched cartoons in the middle of the afternoon. I made terrible snack combinations. I built a blanket fort in my living room and worked from inside it. I sang loudly in my car with the windows down. Bay. Each time I sent her a picture or a short message. Nothing heavy, nothing that required a long response. Just little reminders that breaking rules was okay, that spontaneity wasn't irresponsible, that joy wasn't selfish. Her responses were brief, but I could tell they mattered to her. "This made me smile today," or "I needed this," or "Thank you for being weird." Meanwhile, her updates about her family situation were stressful. Her sister's recovery was slow. Family dynamics were complicated. Everyone had opinions about everything, and she was stuck in the middle trying to keep the peace. She was exhausted, overwhelmed, and clearly falling back into old patterns of putting everyone else first. One night she called me late. Bay. She sounded tired, defeated. "I don't think I can do this," she said quietly. "Do what? Be the person I was that night. The free person. The spontaneous person. That's not who I really am." "That was just one night of pretending." "That's not true," I said firmly. "That person is you. Maybe more you than the person you've been trained to be."
She was quiet for a long moment. "My mom made a comment today."
Psst. She said she was glad I was there because I'm the stable one. The one who doesn't do crazy things. And I realized she's right. That's who I am to everyone. The responsible one. "The rule follower. Is that who you want to be?" I asked. Another long pause. "I don't know if it matters what I want. People need me to be this person." We talked for another hour. I didn't try to fix everything or convince her she was wrong. I just listened and reminded her that she got to choose who she wanted to be, even if that choice was hard. 3 weeks after she left, she finally came back. She texted me from the airport asking if I was free. Of course I was. When I opened my door, she looked exhausted. Dark circles under her eyes, her clothes wrinkled from travel, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. But when she saw me, she smiled, and it was real. She didn't jump on my bed this time. She just stood in the doorway, looking at me with this expression I couldn't quite read. "I need to tell you something," she said, and my heart started beating faster. That night when I said no rules tonight, it wasn't just about breaking my own rules. I waited, not sure where this was going. "It was a test," she admitted, looking down at her feet. "Best. And I'm sorry for that. But I needed to know something important before I let myself get more serious with you." "What did you need to know?" I asked quietly. She finally looked up at me. "I needed to know if you would judge me. If you would try to control me like before. If you would tell me I was too much or too silly or needed to grow up. I needed to know if showing you the real me would make you want to leave." I felt my throat tighten. I hadn't realized she was carrying that fear the whole time. "The crisis with my family," she continued. "As terrible as it was, it showed me something else. It showed me how you responded when I fell back into my old patterns. You didn't judge me for that either. You didn't tell me I was being weak or that I was letting people walk all over me." Breath. "Instead, you sent me those ridiculous pictures every day." She laughed a little, wiping her eyes. "Do you know what those pictures meant to me?" While I was drowning in family drama and feeling guilty for ever wanting anything for myself, you kept reminding me that it was okay to be happy, that I wasn't selfish for wanting joy in my life. "You're not selfish," I said. "You're human." She stepped closer. "Bea, I realized something while I was gone. I've been so scared of getting into another relationship where I lose myself. Where I have to follow someone else's rules and become smaller. But you've never asked me to be smaller. You've never given me rules to follow. You just let me be whoever I am in that moment, whether I'm being spontaneous and silly or stressed and falling back into old patterns." "That's what you deserve," I said simply. She smiled, and this time tears were definitely in her eyes. Bress, I don't want one night of no rules. I want a life of no rules. Or at least, no rules except the ones I choose for myself. And I want to build that life with someone who won't try to control me, or fix me, or make me into someone I'm not. I understood what she was saying. This wasn't just about that one night. It was about her choosing to heal, to grow, to become the person she wanted to be. And she was asking if I wanted to be part of that journey. I'm in, I said without hesitation. Whatever that looks like, however long it takes. I'm in. She stepped forward and hugged me, and I could feel some of the tension leave her body. Fair warning, she said, her voice muffled against my shoulder. It's probably going to be messy. I'm going to have good days where I feel free and bad days where I fall back into old habits. I'm going to need reminders sometimes that it's okay to choose myself. I can do reminders, I said. I've gotten pretty good at it, actually. She laughed, pulling back to look at me. Yeah. Those pictures were pretty ridiculous. Inside-out shirts? Breaths. Really? You're welcome. I grinned. She got serious again. Thank you for that night, for the pictures, for not giving up on me when I was drowning in family stuff, for showing me that love doesn't have to mean losing myself. That's when I realized the real twist of the whole story. That night, when she whispered, "No rules tonight," and jumped on my bed, I thought I was helping her break free from old rules. But really, she was teaching both of us something bigger. But she was showing me that real love means supporting someone's growth, even when it's messy. It means not trying to control or fix or change someone, but just being there while they figure out who they want to be. We didn't build a blanket fort that night. We just sat and talked about the future, about her continuing therapy, about both of us learning to be more spontaneous. About building a relationship where both of us could be our full selves without fear. And yeah, we definitely ordered ice cream for dinner.